What's up, everybody? It's your favorite hunting dog's favorite nerd. Anyway, and today we are looking at Maketoys Gundog, which is their homage to Hound in a masterpiece scale. Accessories-wise, he comes with these two bits, which are just guns. This is on loan to me from Joe KW. So tight little joint. Let's see if we can't get him to hold this here. There. Boom. Close the hand. He does hold it. It is kind of a pain to get it in there. It's just finding the sweet spot where it slides in. But as you can see, he does hold it just fine. And then he has his kind of, I don't know, character-defining shoulder-mounted unit that sits up there, slides in the back of this plastic frame of the hood, and that looks good. And then he also comes with this gun, which is mainly known for his bit of business in the cartoon. It swivels here, and it hinges here a bit. Just a silver finish, otherwise pretty standard issue. I don't know if he can hold it. We're gonna try. It's kind of at a funky angle, so I don't know. It ain't pretty either way. I wouldn't use it, so it may be possible. It's on loan to me. I'm not comfortable, so there you have it. On the back, you have... Joe got pets too? Hold on a second. You got this bit of business here, but you have this tire. It does tend to pop off, and it's because it tabs in at just one location, and the location isn't centered. So it tends to pop off, but it's not a big deal. And I also think that this can go in its stead. Let's see. Maybe not. Yeah. Huh? Maybe not. Yeah. So you can have that look also. I don't see any other place for this to plug in robot mode, but I may be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. I promise you it won't be the last. Let's see. I don't know. There's a couple little tabs and stuff here, but they all seem like they'd be too... Maybe you can do something like that. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but it works. This, not so much, at least that I can find, and then it's best to have this plugged in. Alright, so now let's talk about the figure. So this is the cartoon accurate one. There is a toy accurate version as well. This is not that. That is not this. Head is on a hinged swivel. Oh no, no, it's a ball joint. Which is fine. And it works okay. It's a good head sculpt. Silver paint on there, blue paint on there, on the eyes. Outlined in black, which is kind of a typical Fans Project Maketoys thing, but it looks good. And then we have shoulders that are kind of on a weird, very Maketoysy kind of design, but you get a lot out of them. So they hinge out here, which is kind of a backward butterfly joint, but it still can get you some pretty cool poses. And then this piece here hinges up and down, but not much. So you'd have to use this piece here that swivels, this outer cylinder here that swivels on top of this fixed piece to get your up range. So what's unfortunate about this is you can't really go straight up. And I guess you can. There you go. Okay, yes you can. You just gotta you adjust it at this swivel here. It just sits out a little further than I would personally like, but it's fine. Works just fine. Bicep swivel. This is all a gray plastic. It's like a gray blue plastic. It's actually a really cool color. It's a nice choice. You don't see it often. Single jointed elbow, getting you 90 degrees. Green plastic forearms, yellow paint. We got a little dodgy up in there. Otherwise, looks good. Wrist swivel, and then fingers are on a tightly toleranced single pin at the base knuckle, which is all good. He has an ab crunch, but it destroys the back of the sculpt. I think it's mainly from transformation, but it is there. When you go to pick him up, it is a nice joint. It's toleranced well, but since it doesn't tab in back here, when you go to pick him up, sometimes it'll come undone. Just kind of a word to the wise. All this chest detailing looks great. The star is painted well. The headlights are painted well here and both down there too. And then all the silver engine stuff is done well. And then these little grates inside there are done well. I do find these to be a bit distracting. It didn't distract me in pictures, but seeing it in hand, it does distract me a bit. They have that silver metallic finish. They look fine in terms of their detailing, but it just the look of the figure is throwing me off a little bit. Waist swivel, articulation is the same on the other arm. Waist swivel, the back of the figure cleans up really well. There is this bit of business here, the steering wheel. It does look slightly out of place, that they just didn't know where to tuck that bad boy. So they just kind of have you put it around here and on the back, but it's okay. And then this glass piece sticks up a little bit there. But not the worst thing in the world, just pointing it out. Silver paint here, green paint inside the tire, looks good. The tire it might be rubber. If it's not, yeah, it might be a really soft plastic. It might be rubber. I think it's rubber. It smells a little bit like rubber. And let's see. Waist swivel works just fine. Same gray plastic that looks good down here, and then the yellow, those are pieces of plastic. I don't think that's painted. Universal joints for hips that work just fine, just friction universals, but they work fine. The thighs, Robert D had mentioned that they were a bit chunky, and they are. I didn't notice it till he pointed it out. They are a bit chunky, but in hand it doesn't bother me in the least. The knee. Okay, so this piece here, which is the seat, you can fold that up, and then you get this double jointed knee that gets you just about 90 degrees. It's not an insane range of motion. It will go naturally, but I would suggest, just for the sake of caution, to move it first before you go about messing with it. And thigh swivel at the universal, not sure I mentioned that. And then the gray is painted down in there, silver is painted on there, all the gray detailing is done down in there, and then the red brake lights are all painted, and then these little yellow arrows are painted well as well. And all the hubbub, I forgot to mention the foot articulation. So it has a tilt. It doesn't get you any forward, but it gets you back to there. And then it has an extreme rocker, so you can put this guy all the way out to do the splits or whatever you want to do. And, you know, that's him. Not bad looking. Size comparison wise, there he is with an MP car. He's slightly taller than an MP car. It may not look like it in this frame. Maybe he's not. Maybe this guy's just too big of an A stance. I don't know. It's close. But either way, it looks good. The bulkiness and all that stuff look good. And there he is next to Rumble, if you wanted to kind of recreate that scene. Okay, for the transformation, we're going to do a montage because it's easier for me, it's easier for the figure, and since it doesn't belong to me, that's very important that I don't put any undue stress on this unit. So first step is make sure that all the accessories are off, and then pull these down, and then you kind of want to angle them so that they come at the opposite angle that you pull them down from, so like that. Take the whole back assembly up and over, collapse the arms, same on the other side, rotate the arms to the back of the figure. Undo the torso, bring it up on this double hinge here. This part can be a little tricky, so we're going to do it in two parts. Pull these tires out, and then angle them down, fold them back in, and that should allot for this tab, if you can see it in there, going into place. It's one of those things where it just has to be done just right. So Make sure that this angle here is facing down, and then you want to kind of rotate this back up and put it back where it was, all the while tabbing it in, and that's that. Rotate the head down, rotate the whole arm in so that it looks something like that. Before you tab these two pieces together, this is really cool. These are all on double hinges. They're like little flaps. Bring them all out, and then I think in the end you want to have the hand facing around. Same on the other side. Fold the seats up here. Untab these side pieces here on both sides. Rotate the seats around. Take these pieces here, unplug them, and open them up. Fold them to the side. And then you want to collapse this on top of that. These hands sit in those little pockets. And I should mention, a lot of this is die cast in here. Like, this figure has a lot of weight. That should be noted. In the thighs, and I think maybe that's plastic. Definitely in the thighs, maybe a little bit down here. I'm not good at discerning that, but there is a fair amount of die cast in here, and he does have a good weight. But you got to tab in these two tabs up in there into those two slots in there. And because of the die cast, it can be a little problematic, but that time it went pretty easily. And these two pieces should sit up at an angle. That seems wrong at first, but it's the way it should be. Fold the seats up, and they plug into there. Fold this piece up. Fold these side panels up. They're a pain. They got to plug into here, here, and there. And it's just a matter of getting it right. Alright, now we'll try the other side. They're a pain. They got to plug into here, here, and there. There. Good night. Bring the bumper up. Alright, and then it's just a matter of finishing it up. So bring down the hood. Make sure that the steering wheel is where it's supposed to be. Alright, and then lastly, bring these front bits back down. And there you go. Rolls just fine. All the yellow detailing shows up well. The general sculpt and mold is all good. You can accessorize them by folding down these little bits here and here. And then you can plug in your can and your spare tire. You can arm him to the teeth with all of your stuff. So that pegs in there. And then I guess you want to plug this into the side of that. And then they have this one that plugs in there. And then you swivel it around. I gotcha. So there you go. And now he's armed to the teeth. So yeah, it's okay. It's not hateful. I think that this is a bit much. You know, take all the guns off and just leave the one. I think that'll do. But yeah, it does the part. Does the part in both modes. So all in all, not bad. I'll get you Tiger Tracks to look next to him. And there's that. and size looks good. And the trailer test. Like a glove. Final thoughts wise, I do have a few issues here. There are some proportion things that are throwing me off a little bit, like just design wise, like these pieces jutting out as far as they do, and then now that Robert D has pointed out these thighs to me, I'm having a hard time seeing that. The feet are a bit clunky and stuff, but they're minor gripes and they're definitely preference things. Outside of that, the main Maketoys kind of complication in terms of transformation kind of continues, but it is getting better. The thing here, the issue here with the transformation is that everything has to be done so precisely. There's not a lot of room for error, or the hood and the side panels that end up being the doors have a hard time lining up properly. Whereas I think a fun transformation has a little bit of a room for error. It's just like, you know, it's quick enough and fast enough where you can kind of put everything relatively in the right place. This has to be very precisely done. And if you're not paying attention to every minute angle, you're going to have a hard time lining everything up. It's not impossible, but it just makes it frustrating. But with that transformation comes a very complicated transformation, but it's not overly complicated like Chrome Dome was overly complicated. It's just slightly frustrating. But they definitely didn't take any easy ways out. And even I have been known to take a few easy ways out. What do you guys want for dinner?
Steak. Steak.
Steak?
Uh-huh.
Okay, we could do steak. And I'll get it out and I'll cook it all and then I'll cut it up and all that kind of stuff for you. Or how does this sound? But there's a lot of good here as well. The paint is smart. It's applied well for the most part. Gets a little sketchy on both forearms. The transformation, while being a bit frustrating, does do some pretty clever things. Like those arm panels all accordioning up. I'd be surprised if we don't see more people take cues from that sort of a transformation. That's pretty smart, it's pretty clever, and I like that. I'd like to see more of it. It feels very quote-unquote masterpiecey. The sculpt is good. The proportions throw me off a little bit, but the sculpt is good. The materials are great. The finish is smooth. It feels good. The action figure element is all sorts of there. He's extremely posable. Even though the shoulders feel a little awkward at times, he's extremely posable and lends himself to very dynamic poses quite easily. Do I recommend him? Yes. However, I think it might be worthwhile waiting and seeing how this Fanstoys one turns out. I'm on board for the Fanstoys one. I'll be looking at him here. But much like the Reflector, it's comforting and it's nice to know that if my gamble doesn't pay off, there is a follow-up option available that is a good option. I would have no problem displaying this guy on my shelf. I'm just waiting for the Fanstoys one because I'm personally just more of a fan of what they're making. But at least I know if it doesn't work out, I can get rid of that one and get this one, and this will be a good option. So it's solid. I think it comes down to a few design cue preferences, a few preferences in terms of how you like toys to transform, and then a few company preferences. If you prefer Maketoys, get Maketoys. If you prefer complicated transformations, get this one because the other one might be, but at least you know this one is. And if you kind of like the few aesthetic changes that are here in regards to like the feet, in regard to the shoulders, and in regard to, you know, these bits here that stick out, and even those mirrors, which I am finding a bit distracting, just because it starts to look a little busy up there. You know what I mean? Like with this flap in the back, and then this piece sitting back here, and then this, and then these. It all starts to look like a bit much going on up there. But if you dig that and you like that, then this is the way to go. It's not a bad figure. It's well made. It's good materials. It's good paint. It's good figure. Just know there's another option coming, and it might be worth playing the waiting game. I'll be looking at the other one here, so I'll be sure to give you the heads up. Outside of that, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.